My girlfriend cheated on me with her coworker to escape my crazy sex drive. Now, a year later, she is begging for me to take her back because she feels bad for forcing me to be pent up. My girlfriend cheated on me with her coworker while I was away visiting my mother because we had sex almost every day. Since then, I haven't known the touch of a woman, and I haven't been able to ever knock one out without thinking about her, so I stopped self-pleasure altogether. Now, she hates herself after hearing how I've been suppressing my needs, as she calls them, and wants another chance. To start off, me and Taylor, not her real name, have been together since high school. When we met during our elective classes, both were photography. We were seated together for the majority of the year, and I was reluctant to sit next to a girl because I was known as the weird kid in high school. But I was happy to find out that Taylor had a lot of the same interests as me. We both loved Dragon Ball, collected figurines, and lived photography. Over time being seated together, I began to look forward to photography class just to see Taylor. At the end of the year, it was our assignment to take a photo of something we admired, and corny enough, I told Taylor I wanted to photograph her. After an exchange of blushes, she agreed and I took a photo of her, one I still keep in my wallet to this day.
After high school, we decided to try our hand at dating each other, but Taylor was reluctant because we had both never been in relationships before. But we were kind of thrust into it when the graduation party at Tom's house came around. He was a buddy of my cousin, and he was a super chill dude. The usual games were played, spin the bottle, never have I ever, and 7 minutes of heaven.
Me and Taylor were picked to stay in the closet, and I was hella nervous, especially since most people came out of the closet looking like they were in cloud nine. Nervous as I was, I swallowed my pride and began to make out with Taylor, to which she made out back. It was incredible. My tongue against hers felt amazing. I remember thinking, is this what dating is like all the time? This is awesome. By instinct, I can only assume, I began to feel her up slowly, to which she began to moan out loud, to which I covered her mouth so nobody outside the closet would hear. I could feel how hot she was getting, and I can't lie, I felt hot as well. I began to kiss her neck and she moaned against my hand. I felt my loins burning. I wanted this badly. She whispered in my ear as she broke free from my hand, please ravage me till the ... If there was ever a time where horny was a crime, in that moment I was a felon. I threw her onto the floor, not a full throw, but enough to make a sound, and mounted her from behind. I slowly took off her clothes, underwear, and all. I felt like I was gonna ass out from heat stroke, but I managed to put my thing inside her. It was a loud moan, and I covered her mouth again. I knew she was a virgin, but I didn't know it felt as good as it did. Long story short, we went at it for ages, or at least it felt like ages. When it was said and done, we got dressed and left the closet, didn't say anything for the rest of the party. The next day, we both met up, and out of pure desire, I saw the sexy outfit she was wearing and I pounced on her, kissing her deeply. We had sex then and there, despite being on the school roof. Fast forward 2 years, and we had both reached our early 20s, and I had secured a job at a company as a technical consultant, and Taylor got the same job in a different branch. I didn't know all the ins and outs of the job, but I did my absolute hardest because they paid insane amounts. Over time, I began to develop more stress from working overtime, new projects, data act, and I therefore began to depend on sex more, not just for pleasure, but to relieve myself. Taylor and I did it every single day without fail, even when we were tired, and I always made sure to wear a condom. But I wish I picked up the hints that Taylor was getting sick of sex. I measure 8.3 inches when I'm hard. Taylor didn't hate my size at all. She began to look away when we had sex, and she hardly ever initiated anymore. So I decided to swear off sex for a while. And I won't lie, it was tough to change a habit like regular sex. I didn't stop completely, but I cut down to around 2 or 3 times a week. Over the next 2 months, Taylor had began to go out more and see her friends more than she did previously. and I interpreted this as having more time for her personal life instead of pleasuring me, which I was all for, cause I wanted Taylor to be happy more than anything. But she left her phone unlocked one day, and put of curiosity, I went through it like she did to mine a lot in the past. What I found disgusted me: pictures, videos, texts, you name it, all with her and a coworker she regularly worked with. The details were that she had met him a while back and started to see him more and more because he didn't constantly ask for sex. But whenever they did have sex, it was extremely kinky. Doing this I never got to do with Taylor. I felt as jealous as any man could, and I decided to confront Taylor. Instead of remorse, she gave me anger and disdain, saying at least Toby treats me as a person and not a sex object. He doesn't ask for my body every single time we meet. If you only view me as a pleasure toy, then we shouldn't be together. She packed her bags that same day and left. I was devastated and couldn't be bothered to clean the house for days, just locking myself in my room to cry myself to sleep. But even my dreams didn't comfort me. It went on like this for a few months until I heard that I was being transferred to another company effective immediately. During this time, I decided to swear of self-closer entirely, prioritizing my job and work first and foremost. During this time, I got promoted to a professional consultant for other companies, which were taking contracts of up to double my annual salary. The money was great, and I even lent a bunch out to my buddy Tom. We became good friends after the party so he could grow his gym, which he invited me to be a part of. I declined his offer because I was in good shape. I wasn't an athlete, but I wasn't average either. But through peer pressure from Tom's gym buddies, I agreed to join his gym. I didn't get jacked or anything like that, but I went there to keep up my routine regularly. Sometimes, a girl would notice me and approach me for whatever reason. I was cute. I looked cool. I looked like I had money, But none of them interested me, because all I could think about was Taylor when I was faced with another woman. Most were pretty vulgar with what they wanted, which was usually just a quick fuck, but I didn't accept any offers. Every time I thought about sex, my loins itched, and I had to think about Taylor to make them stop. About 3 months after I turned 23, Tom approached me during one of our workout sessions, asking if I wanted him to set me up with a cute girl for a social event he was thinking of attending. I decided to let Tom know the truth. Look, Tom, I can't. I swore off any self-pleasure after Taylor cheated on me, and you're a great friend, but I have to decline. I'm doing great without sex or relationships. Tom laughed it off, thinking I was joking, but he quickly understood I wasn't kidding. He then gave me a speech about how I should take care of my male needs, otherwise consequences could develop into gym or rage addictions. But I was careful enough to not let those form. I decided to thank Tom for the offer, but I'd show up to the event by myself. That same day, I got home, and for some reason, I began to crave pleasure, like the mere mention of it drove me wild. I took some sedatives to knock out for a few hours, and it worked. I woke up and the itch was gone, no need to scratch it. But the doorbell rang, and I sleepily answered it, and I saw Taylor for the first time in a year. She looked different. She had a shorter haircut that was tied into a ponytail the way I remembered, and her skin had noticeably darkened, a nice tan from all the time she spent on the beach. She loved the beach. I rubbed my eyes and asked her why she was here, but my words were slurred, and I couldn't fully hear everything she was saying, but I made out the critical parts. I went to the gym you worked out at because I wanted to talk to you about what happened between us. I'm so sorry I cheated on you, Toby. He turned out to be an even bigger sex addict than you. I raised my brow, questioning if a man like that even existed. I shook my head to get the thought of sex out of my head, and I asked her if she wanted to talk inside, and she must have interpreted this as me wanting sex again, because when we sat down on the couch she bogged on to unbutton her blouse. I stopped her by standing up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? I said. She said, well, I just thought that, since you like sex so much, this would be my way of apologizing. Because I really want to apologize, Andrew, not my real name. I cut her off, and I could have told her that I didn't want used goods or leftovers, but I decided to tell her the truth. I let it all out, telling her that after she left, I decided I wouldn't be having sex ever again, and that I would put all my time into my work. I expected her to understand, but she had a worried and almost pained look on her face. What? You mean you haven't even masturbated since we broke up? Oh gosh, I am sorry. I'm so sorry, she said while she choked back tears. I sat down next to her and began to rub her back, saying it's not her fault for the decision I made, and I threw my head back over the couch to let out a sigh. I pinched the top of my nose as she began to straddle me on the couch. I like when she straddled me, but not this time. I asked her what she was doing. You and I had sex regularly over the years, and I left you knowing you had a dependence on it. A whole year without even touching yourself. You must be so pent up. Her words were like insultry, as if trying to seduce me. But they didn't work, because I didn't feel any desire towards her. I asked her to get off of me, because I wasn't feeling it, but she placed her hands on my chest and began to grind against me. No. Please, just let me take care of your needs like a good girlfriend should. Double quotes. I said no again, and she became even more desperate, taking off her shirt to reveal her breasts. They were as big as I remembered, and I told her to put her shirt back on. She still didn't listen and asked me to suck her nipples. I decided to do it, and she moaned out loud. But I still wasn't getting hard, nor did I feel any desire. Taylor began to cry, and her tears is my shirt. She went on to say that she felt horrible that she let Toby touch her in ways that were only meant for me, but I didn't care. She gave herself to another man, and that wasn't a turn-on for me. I just wasn't in the mood, and I asked her to get off of me. She did, and she apologized again. I told her that I didn't want sex from her, not that I want her to humiliate herself for my satisfaction. She then revealed that she and Toby had broken up because he was cheating on her, and it gave her a reality check on who she wanted to love. I told her she was free to stay because she had nowhere to go, and we would split the rent. She has been living with me for the last month now, and she has tried everything to get any form of love out of me. She began to cook our dinner, has started to be more touchy and clingy, and has tried to initiate sex more times than else, almost twice every single day. Sometimes I try, but I just don't feel attracted to her the way I used to. She gave herself to another man in ways she never even let me imagine, and now she's trying to make up for it with sex, but I don't even want sex anymore. What should I do? Is there any way I can make this work? I don't mind sleeping with her, but my desire for her and sex is long gone. Like I can only view sex as a chore instead of something beautiful like I did over a year ago. How do I go on from here? Story 2. Girlfriend cheated on me because she isn't satisfied. What can I do in this situation? So I'm 19 and my girlfriend is 20 and have been together for almost a year now. We started dating our freshman year of college. We both went to the same school, but had different friend groups. She and I have a pretty active, intimate life and we get along well. But a few weeks ago she started acting weird, rejecting my advances. I tried to talk to her, asked her to share her problems with me, but she said everything was fine. Yesterday I tried to get close to her again, but she started crying and confessed that she cheated on me. I was silent. I was angry, sad, and disappointed. I couldn't say a word. She said it happened 3 weeks ago around the time she started rejecting me. It was with a guy in our college, I'll call him MC. I didn't even know who he was until she told me. After she finished talking, I asked her why she did that. Her answer was what killed me inside. She used to talk about her private life with her friends. They also mentioned my size in their conversations. According to her, it was normal in their friendship. Her friends also used to talk about their boyfriend's size in their private life. There's no way this is normal behavior for any adult. Now, according to her friends, I'm not good enough, that she should experience something bigger at least once in her life, that they have also tried it and she should discover herself. all her friends have cheated on their boyfriends with MC. They told her he is very well endowed and that she should also try him to see if it is better. According to them, they love their boyfriends, but they have the right to discover their bodies. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel betrayed, disrespected. I can't even look at her anymore. After telling me all this, she tried to apologize. She said it was a one-time thing and it would never happen again. Then she tried to kiss me, but I refused to push her away. I haven't spoken to her since yesterday. She texted me saying sorry and asking me to talk to her, but I ignored all her texts and calls. I feel sick just thinking about what she said and did. I haven't slept all night. Haven't eaten anything today. I'm so messed up. I keep thinking about what I did wrong. If I could have done more. Was I really so deficient that she felt the need to cheat on me? I don't know where we go from here. I just feel so depressed. I will update the post to know anything happens in the future. Story 3. I, 28 years old, my husband, 30 years old, has had sex 3 times in the past 2.5 years, and it has ruined our relationship. Any advice? I'd like to start off by saying that this really wasn't an easy choice for me to come here and look for help. Throughout the past 2 years, I've done research on how to get over this issue, but I can't seem to really find anything. Important details. I'm 28, my husband 30. My husband and I have been married now for 4.5 years. Together for 5. Back about 3 years ago, we started having threesomes. It's kind of like most stories you hear that the girl was mainly doing it for the guy, even though I was a bit bi-curious. I could live without it. It was mainly so my husband could really live out the fantasy. Previously, we did talk about our boundaries. I remember that, but my husband says he doesn't. It could be an excuse, or it could be my bad memory. Things were fine when we first started out doing that. And then we met this one girl who seemed really great, and we planned to go on a 3-day vacation with her, and stayed in the same room. That was such a bad idea, first of all. We both weren't ready for that type of thing. First day was fine, second day was okay, and last day was just weird. And on the last day, that's when the problem happened. I decided to take a shower. I asked if they wanted to go with me. Keep in mind they weren't doing anything by this time. They were just lying in the bed, like we just woke up. My husband and the girl both said no to the shower. And I thought it was weird my husband said no to the shower in the first place. So I was like, okay. I proceed with going to the restroom and into the shower. I started hearing something immediately, like the bed making a lot of noise. And honestly, I was already upset. I finished my shower and the noises continued. When I finished my shower, I came out and they got off of each other right before I could see them doing anything. And they both acted like they weren't doing anything. I even asked, both said no. I ended up talking to my husband once the girl went to the restroom. And I asked him if they did anything while I was in the shower, and he said no. I told him I knew he was lying because then I explained the situation I mentioned, and he really tried to stay with that nothing happened. I tried to believe him, and I tried to push away my anger to just try to make the rest of the vacation not awkward. Anyways, later, once we were back home, he finally told me that I was right and they did fool around when I was in the shower. And I was so upset as to why he would lie to me, like I was stupid or something. I was explaining to him the main reason I was upset because it was like it was planned to be done in a way that I wouldn't know. Like he really meant to keep it secret, and he knew what he was doing was wrong and broke my boundaries. He claims to not know my boundaries, and the lines were a little blurry as to what he could do or what he couldn't. And part of me wants to believe that, and part of me doesn't. He was so devastated that I wanted to stop that part of our life. And he wanted to talk about it constantly to try to make it better and me to agree to doing them again. He would constantly ask me when I will be okay to do them again. And he would never listen to me when I told him to stop, and to the point I threatened that I would leave him if he didn't stop, and finally he stopped. I cut out all 3 ways. I stopped watching porn. And my sex drive since then has really taken a hit. Me and my husband used to be very sexually active together, but since then it's incredibly low. Then our relationship really took a turn for the worst. And he no longer trusted me, always accused me of cheating on him. Things got really toxic. Until I actually left him for almost 2 weeks, so we could work on ourselves. I ended up coming back, and things got better. We moved out of his parents' place into our own apartment, and we've been working on our relationship since then. My husband has really put in a ton of effort to show me he has changed. And he trusts me, and nothing is really wrong on his end. It's just mine. I no longer trust him fully, and it's really hard to deal with. We just had a conversation yesterday about this because he needed to talk about something he's been dealing with. And I just broke down crying, and it was so hard to stop, to the point I was having a bit of a panic attack during my sobbing. He says he wishes he could take it all back, and that if he knew how much he would have hurt me doing what he did, that he would have never done it. But that he was a stupid boy still, and didn't understand my boundaries. And he says it haunts him, and he's felt guilty about it for almost 3 years now. He says the only way to fix it is if we continue talking about our feelings. He expressed he wants to be able to have things back the way they were before. And I said I didn't want to do 3-ways anymore. Or even watch porn with him anymore, and the not watching porn with him anymore made him sad. He says the reason I don't want to do that is because I still don't trust him, and that I need to get over it one day. I'm not sure if my lack of sex drive is because of mostly of what he did or because I'm not physically active anymore. I'm sure it's both. Honestly, I don't know what to do about this situation. I don't have anyone to talk to, so I decided to finally come here and tell it, in hopes for advice from people looking on the outside in. I feel it's all my fault, tbh. Maybe I wasn't clear enough with him, but I felt I was. I'm not such an unreasonable person, and for me to be so upset about that situation, for me was reasonable, but is it also a fine line? I just need some advice from you all on here. Story 4. Cheating ex reached out again. So, my ex 31 cheated on me 32 after being together for 8 years. Despite the fact that he cheated on me for most of the relationship with his Snapchat pen pal, I feel like I can't say anything about their friendship because they had been friends for 4 years when he and I started dating. He would tell me it was just alcohol that made him approach other girls and act stupid, and always promise he would stop. Spoiler alert, he didn't. He met up with the original Snapchat girl in July, and they are currently dating now. I moved out of his place on August 2nd, and I have not seen or spoken to him since. However, on September 29th, this was the first text I received. Hey, I wasn't sure how to reach out or when, but I just wanted to say a few things. I just wanted to let you know that we spent some pretty awesome years together, smiley face. I know things got a little fucked up between us at the end and maybe even before then, but I will always wish you the best in life. Just know that if you or your family ever need someone to count on, y'all can count on me. I hope that maybe when the emotions aren't so high and we can be cool with each other in a friendly way. That's it. Sorry to bother you, and I hope you have an awesome weekend. I didn't reply because I know what his game is. Over our 8 years together, I watched him reach out to all of his exes, usually at 3 a.m., and ask them for friendship and sometimes sex. They always replied to him, so he continued to bother them. This was the next text I received from him on October 6th. I said happy birthday to your dad, and he said fuck you. So that's awesome. Anyway, there's still a few things you left behind. Did you want me to make a box, or should I just toss them? It's things like your EDC fan, few articles of clothes, art supplies, etc. Let me know. My last text to him in early August already states that he can throw everything I left behind away. I'm just so flabbergasted that a cheater can act so blazed towards their ex-partner. Everything about him and his texts to me bothers me so much now. He's blocked on every single platform I could have possibly thought of, so he decided to send me an email today. Here is the content of that email. I couldn't find any way of reaching you. I hope you don't mind the email. I'm sure you've heard things ended between the devil and I a couple of months ago now. Man, what a ride that was. It was the worst experience I've ever had. Pretty traumatic, actually. I ended up checking myself into therapy over it. The crazy disrespect and gaslighting was a lot to handle, especially being out there alone with no real support. She reached out to you, my friends, my family, etc., and tried painting this wild picture of me. It was all just so much. I never want to speak to her ever again. In some fucked up way, I think she was my karma for how poorly I handled the end of our relationship. Not only that, but how messed up it was for me to talk to her when you had asked me not to. I experienced the same situation with her, but from the other end. She had quite the interesting friendship with an ex who would come around from time to time. It was hell, feeling like no matter how I brought it up, she would make me feel like I was the one being insecure and messing up. I say all of this to extend an apology to you. You didn't deserve to be made to feel that way, and you also didn't deserve to be made to feel like you were second in my life. I just got caught up dealing with this feeling that you were using me as a free ride throughout life. That mixed with the distance that grew between us made it difficult for me to see what I had with you. Right now, I'm spending time with my cousin in Mexico. He's going through a bit too, and I thought it would be a good idea to have someone around in a similar boat. Anyway, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, and I'm not even reaching out specifically for that. I just wanted to reach out and say I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. I've been working through a lot in therapy, and it's helped me a ton. That and just getting a handle on my attitude and learning how to trust again. If by some miracle you feel like talking again, I would really like that. Life has been better lately, but I know it could be better with you in it. Sorry again. If you feel like reaching back out, I have the same number. If you don't, I understand. I hope whatever you decide, you can continue living your life to the fullest, and I will always wish the best for you. After reading the email, I was a little shaken. Should I give him my contact information? What should I do in this situation? Story 5. I, 28, got cheated on at 23 by my ex-fiancée. 5 years later, there's a few things I can be honest about. I'm 28. I was engaged at 23 to a woman I'd been dating for 2 years at that point. We were living in the same house, but in different floors, and were planning our wedding. We had a stash of condoms for when those times happened, and I found out she was cheating on me because one was missing. I confronted her about it. She said she gave it to her brother, and I chose to believe her. Dumbly, for the next 3 months, she would smile at her phone, and when I'd approach, she'd hide it. I'd ask who she was texting, and she'd say her sister, and that I needed to stop asking. She started coming home late, sometimes not at all, saying her sister had an emergency. Finally, after 3 months of questioning and knowing in my gut something was wrong, she broke up with me. Said I was too controlling, and she loved me, but I needed to work on myself, and if I do that, then maybe a few years down the line she'd give me a second chance. The next week, I came home from work to a random car in the driveway. Figured it was her sister's, didn't know her sister's car at the time. 3 weeks after that, I got home before she did. I worked nights, so it was around 1 a.m., and that same car brought her home. It was an old friend of mine from work, and she was blasted drunk. I told him off and helped her inside. That night, she confessed everything to me. She had been cheating on me the last 3 months of our relationship with a friend who brought her home. I started looking for my own place and stopped talking to her. For all intents and purposes, I was broken and tried my best to ignore her. Finding an apartment in the middle of November isn't easy. 6 months went by, and I finally started dating again. I brought my date home, thinking it was fine since we had separate spaces. My date stayed the night, though out of respect we didn't make noise. However, regardless, the next day, after my date left, my ex came into my area unannounced and crying. She proceeded to tell me how hurt she was and how she felt I moved on really fast. It took everything in me in that moment not to scream at her. I finally was able to move out a month after that and cut off all contact from her. A year after no contact, she found a way to message me on Facebook. I checked the message, and it was a no-bullshit 6-paragraph essay with the very first words being "You're a manipulative piece of shit." I never read it. I just pretended I never saw it and blocked her and moved on with my life. Now I'm happily engaged again to my best friend on the planet. Looking back and being honest, I get why she cheated. I had just gotten out of the army when we met and had lost 4 of my brothers to suicide. I wasn't in a place to have been dating, let alone getting engaged. We felt good quick and rushed everything, and though I'm not proud of it, I can admit I wasn't good to her. I was controlling, due to being insecure. I always wanted to know where she was going and who'd she be with. I'd always text her as she was out. I imagine I was suffocating. I'm proud that I'm not that way with my current partner, as that entire first engagement was a lesson in both what I want in a partner and what I don't want to be. And I went to therapy for 2 years to address my trauma with losing my friends and how it made me a controlling person. All that in mind, though, I don't excuse her actions, and I don't think I deserve to be cheated on. I think if you're at a point where you feel you need to cheat on your partner, you should just break up with them. If you're someone who argues, but I love them, no, you do not. If you feel a need to cheat on them, that's not love, that's possession. You love having them as an option just in case. That being said, I understand not all cheating is malicious. Sometimes it's under the influence or after a heated argument or something other than a desire to hurt them. We're all human, all learning. Forgive yourself if it was something you truly regret. I'm not trying to guilt anyone or make you feel any worse. Therapy goes a long way if you approach it with an open mind, and I truly wish both cheaters and cheated get the healing they need. My current fiancé and I were both insecure when we first met and slow to trust. We established rules with each other and got apps to monitor each other's phone activity and location. But thing is, never once did she belittle me, nor I her, for needing that. We were fully on the same page. And today, 4 years and 6 months after we started dating, there's no one on this planet I trust more. So be patient, be selective in who you trust, and whether you're thinking of cheating or have been cheated on, be honest in all ways. Such as, what do you want? What don't you want? What are your hard no's? What do you need that you're not getting? Above all else, trust your gut, and if you have a problem, talk to your partner about it. Don't confide what you should be communicating with your partner and someone who may not want to see your relationship succeed.